right, class. Once again, Erika Buenrostro, your Spanish instructor for Spanish 1014 at UA CasaTot. We are going to be discussing task 4. This video discusses task 4, but before we go on and dive into that, I want to recall real fast what we did for task 3, which was a previous lesson where we talked about identifying basic colors, learning your vocabulary, identifying whether they're masculine or feminine, and using the plural form s or es and knowing when to add it. Okay, so if you at any time need to recall any of what was discussed in task 3, please find the video. It will be available all semester. So now then, let's dive into task 4, which we will be talking and discussing about arithmetic and also the days of the week. Okay, vocabulary for this week, we have, okay, alfabeto, which is alphabet, dividir, v. Don't forget that V. Dividir, okay. Entre, which is divided by. Más and menos, those two I know we had discussed previously in a previous lesson. Here they are once again. Más means plus, menos means minus, okay. All right, multiplicar, to multiply. Multiplicar. Por means times. In this case, multiplication, as in times something. Por. Okay. Other words that we're going to also need to remember is ser igual a, which is to be equal to. I'm going to repeat it one more time. Ser igual a. Okay, our next vocabulary word is sumar, which is to add. And then the next one is veces, which means times. And the last one is y, which means plus, and y. Okay, so once again, this is your vocabulary. I highly encourage that you do flashcards, start your own personal dictionary, learn these. The sooner you learn them, the easier the rest of this presentation will be, okay? All right, so arithmetic. Let's talk about arithmetic in Spanish. Spanish speakers add numbers in one of two ways. We can either say dos y dos. So see, we know our numbers. So now when we say dos y dos, it means, and we know y means adding. So 2 plus 2 son cuatro, equals 4. Or we can also say dos más dos. Más meaning adding or more. 2 plus 2 son cuatro. Okay. Y means and más means plus. When subtracting, we say siete menos dos. So we've got 7 minus 2. Son cinco is 5. And place a larger number in front of menos and the number that's being subtracted after it. To multiply numbers, we either say cinco, 5, por dos, so we know por is times, 2, dos, son 10, is 10. Or you can also say cinco veces dos son 10. Both por and veces mean times. When dividing numbers, we say ocho entre dos son cuatro. Let's look at this again. Ocho, 8, entre means divided by 2, son equals cuatro, 4. And place the larger number before entre and the smaller unit after it. As we see here, ocho comes first and then cuatro next. When the result is the number 1, the verb ser must be in the singular form. For example, okay, 3 menos 2 es 1, which means 3 minus 2 is 1. Let me repeat that one once again. When the result is number 1, the verb ser must be in singular form. So in this case, we're going to use es. 3 menos 2 es 1. When the answer is 1, okay, the verb ser must be in singular form, which is es. Couple of rules you'll need to remember, okay? Once again, jot these down in your personal dictionary. All right, as we continue, I've got a couple of examples here that I wanted to go over with you. As in, for example, tres, we identify the numbers, okay? If this works out better for you, go for it. In this case, I would actually write, I would even agree in writing tres on top of tres, dos, dos, and 5. So I've got my numbers identified. E, okay, means adding. So we know that 3 plus 2, and we know that son is equals. So in this case, it's 3 and 2 are 5. Okay. All right. The next one says tres más dos. Let's identify our numbers first. If we identify that tres is 3, 2 is 2, dos is 2, and cinco is 5. Más is plus. Okay. Son are or equal. So in this case, it's 3 plus 2 are 5. Okay, the next one, let's identify our numbers. This says 9 menos 3 son 6. So we've got 9, which is our 9. Our next number is 3, which is 3. And 6 is 6. Okay, and we know that menos is minus. And we know that son is equals or are. So this would read 9 minus 3 are 6. The next one reads 2 por 4 son 8. We're going to identify our numbers first, okay? So 2, 4, and 8. Por means times, and son is equals to or are. So it'd read 2 times 4 equals 8 or are 8. The last example that I've got on here is 10 entre 2 son 5. We're going to identify our numbers, which is 10, 2 is 2, and 5 is 5. Entre means times. And son, of course, means are or equal. So then it would read 10 times 2 equals 5 or are 5. Okay, practice exercises I've got for you. I'm going to do number 1 with you. Let's do that together. Very similar to what we just got done. Once again, whenever you're doing this exercise, identify your numbers. By now, you should know that your numbers in Spanish, and so it's easier if you are actually identifying those. Okay, first. Okay, 5 por 1. 5 we know is 5. Por means multiply, and uno. Okay? So the answer would be 5. In this case, you can identify 5 as 5, uno as uno, and then look up at your vocabulary and know that por is times. Okay? All right. I'm going to read out loud number 2, 3, and 4, positive needed, and then we'll go over the answers. Number 2 reads 3 más 4. Number 3 reads 0 por 1. Number 4 reads 10 por 2. Okay, if you answered for number 2, 7, that is correct because 3 más 4, 3 plus 4 is 7. Okay, number 3, 0 por 1, which basically reads 0 times 1 is 0. Number 4, you should have gotten 10 por 2, which is 10 times 2 equals 20, which is 20. All right, our practice exercises, I'm going to read these and once again, pause the video if needed. ¿Cuánto es 12 entre 3? Okay, in this case, I don't want you to actually do the math behind it. I want you to just listen to the phrases and recognize what those numbers are and recognize what function you're supposed to be doing, either adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. So once again, number 1 reads, ¿Cuánto es 12 entre 2? You should have answered, you were trying to divide 12 divided by 3, which reads, how much is 12 divided by 3? Okay, the next one reads, trabajo 5 días por 6 horas cada día, que es igual a 30 horas en total. Woo, that is a mouthful. So let's take it piece by piece. First of all, we're going to identify that 5 is 5, okay? Por means times 6 days, okay? Por, and you've got 6 right there. And then es igual a, which is equal to, 30 is 30, and then of course total, Okay, so then if you translate it, it should read, I work 5 days for 6 hours each day, which is equal to 30 hours total. Okay, all right, next one reads, 2 más 2 es igual a 2 por 2. Once again, let's identify the numbers. 2, más means plus, so 2 plus 2, es igual a is equal to 2 times 2, because por means 2. So this is correct. 2 plus 2 is the same as 2 times 2. Okay, the next phrase reads, nos van a sobrar $2 porque tenemos que dividir $12 igualmente entre 5 personas. Wow. Okay. Don't get overwhelmed. Once again, let's identify our numbers, okay? So let's find our first number. Our first number is dos, okay? And then we're talking dollars, of course. $2. And then we have here divide 12, which is 12. Equally, igualmente. Entre, we know that that is divided into, right? 5. So this translates into, we are going to have $2 extra because we have to divide $12 equally among 5 people. The last example reads, no es difícil multiplicar un número por cero. Okay, let's find what we're supposed to do in our numbers. So first of all, we have, when we look at this, I am catching multiplicar, which means multiply. And then número means number, by, okay, por, by 0. So this reads, it's not difficult to multiply a number by 0. Once again, the practice phrases, my whole emphasis of showing those to you is for you to catch what vocabulary words we have discussed in class and kind of get a general idea of what it is talking about, okay? So in this case, you can easily feel overwhelmed. Do not. Find those vocabulary words, nitpick them one by one, and then you'll find your way through it. Okay, I've got a video that I want to review with you. Of course, once again, we're going to recognize the vocabulary words, and we're going to recognize if you're going to add, subtract, divide, or multiply.
Ok. 4 más 5 es 9. 3 más 7 son 10. 10 más 15 son 25. 5 menos 4 es 1. 12 menos 10 son 2. 3 menos 3 es 0. 3 por 3 es 9. 3 por 10, 30. Y 4 por 2 son 8. 10 entre 5 es 2. 50 entre 1 son 50. Y 49 entre 7 son 7.
All right, here's the video for this lesson, and it has several examples on here. I want you to review these one by one. Take your time, pause the video, recognize the numbers first, and then recognize what function you are supposed to be doing. This lady is Luz, and she is from Lima, Peru. Also notice her accent. All right, on our next video, we're going to have a lady, let me see, it's Osvaldo. He's from Mexico, Ciudad Juárez.
Bien, vamos a ver la suma primero. 2 más 2, 4. 4 más 2, 6. 6 más 2, 8. 8 más 8, 16. 16 más 16, 32. Bien, la resta ahora, me imagino. Bien, 32 menos 2, 30. 30 menos 5, 25. 20 menos 10, 10 igual a 10. 10 menos 6 igual a 4. Y 4 menos 4 igual a 0. Y multiplicación 2 por 2, 4. 4 por 4, 16. 16 por 2, 32. 32 por 1, 32. Y la división, 32 entre 2, 16. 16 entre 4 igual a 4. 4 entre 2 igual a 2, 2 entre 2 igual a 1.
Wow. Now, the thing about this exercise is he's actually written down the numbers themselves, so you won't have trouble identifying those, except for some of them at the beginning. And then what I would do is just find out what function you are doing in between those exercises. All right, our next video will be talking about vocabulary and the days of the week.